Welcome back to Mr. Harvey Motivation Speech. When it comes to understanding a man's attraction, one of the most telling and undeniable signals is in his eyes. You see, men can try to play it cool, act like they're not bothered, pretend they're not paying attention, but the eyes, they're traitors. The eyes will always tell on the heart. When a man is secretly drawn to you, he cannot help but look. And not just a casual glance, not just a polite acknowledgement, but a deeper, longer look, one that lingers just a little too long. It's that half second of extra time that betrays him, because a man who is not interested doesn't risk lingering. He looks and moves on. But the man who is secretly attracted will stare for just a moment more, as though he's memorizing your face, as though he's caught in thought, as though something about you pulls him in without his permission. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a room and felt eyes on you before you even looked up? That weight of attention, that silent pull, that's because attraction creates a kind of magnetic focus. He can be talking to his friends, pretending to check his phone, even halfway engaged in something else, but his gaze keeps coming back to you. It's almost involuntary. Men are visual creatures, and when they're drawn to someone, they drink that person in through their eyes. That lingering glance is his way of absorbing you, of appreciating you, even when he doesn't have the words or the courage to say it out loud. And here's where it gets interesting. When you catch him staring, that's when the truth shows up. Because a man who has no attraction, no feelings, will look back at you calmly, confidently, maybe even give you a friendly nod. But the man who is secretly attracted, he will jerk those eyes away like he just got burned. He'll suddenly find his shoes fascinating, or look at the ceiling like it's the most important thing he's seen all day. That quick look away, that sudden guilt in his expression, is because he's been caught in a moment of truth he wasn't ready to share. His pride won't let him hold your gaze too long, because he's not ready for you to know how much he's been admiring you. Sometimes it's not just about how long he looks, but how often. Pay attention to those repeated glances, the ones you catch out of the corner of your eye. He'll look at you across the room, then pretend to check his drink. He'll glance at you when you're talking to someone else, then quickly shift his attention if you turn his way. He might even make it seem like coincidence, like his eyes just happened to land on you. But coincidence doesn't repeat itself 20 times in one evening. That's intention disguised as accident, and the disguise falls apart the more you notice it. It's also in the quality of the look. There's a difference between polite attention and an attracted gaze. Polite attention is soft, it flickers, it doesn't leave an imprint. But when a man is secretly attracted, his eyes hold a kind of depth, almost like he's studying you. It's not creepy, it's captivated. He's noticing your smile, the way you move your hands, the small details that you don't even think twice about. He's not just looking at you, he's watching you, and when you catch him, his reaction tells the whole story. That split-second panic, that little awkward smile, that quick turn away, it's not rejection, it's exposure. What makes this so powerful is that men are not always great with words, especially when feelings are fresh or uncertain. He may not be ready to approach you directly. He may not want to risk rejection, but his eyes can't stay disciplined. That's why the eyes become the secret language of attraction. They send signals that the mouth refuses to speak. They give you a glimpse into what he feels but doesn't admit. And if you're paying attention, you'll realize that a man's eyes are one of the clearest signs of his interest. It also explains why eye contact between two people can feel so electric. When you look back at him and hold it for just a moment, that's when the air shifts. That's when the silence grows heavy. Because attraction is never just one-sided energy, it's a connection that builds in the spaces between. If he's secretly attracted, that eye contact will feel charged, like something unspoken is passing between you. And if he breaks it quickly, it's not because it isn't real, it's because it's too real, and he isn't ready for you to see it just yet. Sometimes you'll notice this even in group settings. Everyone's talking, laughing, engaging, but his eyes find you more than once. He's scanning the room, but always landing back on you. He'll pretend he's paying attention to the conversation, but his glance slips. And every time it slips, it betrays him a little more. That repeated look followed by the quick look away is his silent confession. It's the proof that you don't need words to see what's going on beneath the surface. Attraction, when it's unspoken, has a way of sneaking through in these subtle, repeated ways. The eyes, the lingering, the sudden shyness when caught, it's all part of the language men can't control. They might manage their words, control their gestures, but their eyes will always reveal what's going on inside. So when you see a man's gaze holding longer than normal, and then darting away the moment you catch it, understand you're looking at one of the clearest signals of secret attraction when a man is secretly attracted to you. One of the clearest ways you'll notice it is in the way his tone and humor shift whenever you're around. Men have this instinct to showcase the best version of themselves in front of a woman they admire, and humor is often the first tool they reach for. It's not about being a stand-up comedian. It's about connecting, about seeing your smile, about creating a moment where you laugh because that laughter is like music to him. Suddenly, he becomes more playful, more animated, more invested in how you respond. And if you're paying attention, you'll realize he's not just being funny. He's working hard to impress you. Think about how men act around their friends. Their jokes are often casual, blunt, maybe even a little rough around the edges. But when a man is secretly attracted to you, there's a softness, a deliberate choice in how he delivers humor. His tone changes. It gets warmer, smoother, sometimes even exaggeratedly confident. Because deep down he wants you to feel good in his presence. He'll use humor as a way to build a bridge between the two of you. Laughter lowers defenses, it builds comfort, it creates shared moments, and he knows that if he can make you laugh, he has captured a little piece of your attention. There's also a different rhythm to his voice. When he talks to you, he may slow down slightly, emphasizing his words, leaning into the playful banter. His tone might drop a bit lower, because whether he realizes it or not, he's trying to sound more appealing, more masculine. Or sometimes his tone gets lighthearted, teasing, mischievous, because he's testing the waters. He wants to see how you respond. If you giggle, if you smile, if your eyes light up, he takes that as confirmation that he's on the right track. He's studying your reactions carefully, and every laugh you give him boosts his confidence while drawing him in closer. Pay attention to the way he reacts when he successfully makes you laugh. That reaction is often louder than the joke itself. He might grin from ear to ear, his shoulders relax, his eyes light up like he just won something important, and in his mind he did. Your laughter is the prize. When he's secretly attracted, your laugh matters more than anyone else's in the room. He could tell the same joke to 3 different people and brush off their chuckles, but if you laugh, that stays with him. That's the moment he replays later, thinking to himself, I made her laugh, I did that. Sometimes you'll notice he tries harder than usual. He'll come up with witty comebacks, playful teases, little inside jokes that only the two of you share. He might exaggerate stories just to get a bigger reaction, or act silly in ways he wouldn't dare in front of others. Why? Because your amusement matters to him more than his image. A man who is secretly attracted to you will risk looking goofy if it means hearing you laugh. That shift from wanting to look cool to wanting to make you smile is a huge indicator of attraction, because it shows that your happiness has become more valuable to him than his ego. Another giveaway is how quickly he notices when you're not amused. If you don't laugh at a joke, or if your expression stays neutral, he'll pick up on it immediately. He might quickly backtrack, explain himself, or try another angle. He'll put in extra effort because silence from you feels heavier than silence from anyone else. That effort reveals the truth. He isn't just telling jokes for fun, he's tailoring them for you, because your opinion matters in a way that others don't. His humor may also become a tool for testing intimacy. He might throw in playful teasing, lightly poking fun at you in a way that invites connection, not offense. This kind of humor is risky because it toes the line between comfort and discomfort, but a man who is attracted to you will try it to see if there's chemistry. If you respond playfully, if you tease him back, he'll feel a spark that encourages him to push a little further. If you shut it down, he'll adjust quickly because the last thing he wants is to push you away. Humor becomes his way of gauging closeness, measuring how much of himself he can reveal, and seeing if there's room for something more even in group settings. His tone and humor will shift toward you. He could be telling a story to everyone, but his eyes will flick toward you to see if you're laughing. He could be joking with the whole room, but the punchline will be directed at you. Attraction pulls focus, and even though he may try to mask it, his behavior gives him away. You'll notice that your reaction carries more weight than anyone else's. And that's because in his mind, he's performing for you. Not the group. What's most revealing is how different he sounds compared to how he talks to others. Around coworkers, his tone may be flat. Around friends, it may be casual. But with you, it carries energy. You'll hear that extra spark, that deliberate inflection, that eagerness to engage. His voice and humor are trying to create a bubble where the two of you share a private connection. Even if the setting is public, it's not just about making jokes. It's about creating joy that he's responsible for, and that joy is his way of expressing interest without saying it outright. So when you notice his tone softening, his jokes flowing more often, his smile lingering every time you laugh, understand what's happening. Beneath the surface, humor is his strategy, his bridge, his silent confession. He might not come right out and tell you he's attracted, but the way he adjusts his words, the way he works for your laughter, the way his entire demeanor shifts to focus on you, speaks louder than any confession could. When a man is secretly attracted to you, one of the strongest giveaways is how quickly he shows up with help, even in situations where he normally wouldn't lift a finger. Men are naturally wired to be providers and problem solvers, but when attraction is involved, that instinct comes alive in a different way. Suddenly, he finds himself going out of his way, offering to carry things, fix things, solve things, all because he wants to prove his value to you. He wants you to see him as dependable, as someone you can lean on, as someone who adds ease to your life. And the funny thing is, half the time he doesn't even realize how much extra effort he's putting in until he's already doing it. You might casually mention that your car has been giving you trouble, and before you know it, he's texting his mechanic buddy or offering to take a look under the hood himself, even if he doesn't know much about cars. You could say you're moving apartments, and suddenly he's the first one showing up with boxes, tape, and maybe even renting a truck when he's never volunteered for anyone else's move before. Why? Because attraction makes him want to show up for you. He wants to be the guy you think of when you need something, because that makes him feel closer to you. It makes him feel important in your world. This behavior becomes even more obvious when you compare how he acts with you versus how he acts with others. Maybe around his friends or coworkers, he's the kind of guy who avoids extra responsibility, who shrugs off requests, who prefers convenience over effort. But with you, that same man will bend schedules, inconvenience himself, and take on tasks outside his comfort zone just to prove his presence. That contrast is where you see the truth. He's not just being nice, he's showing interest. Niceness is casual, effort is intentional, and consistent out of character. Effort is attraction. It's not only about big, dramatic gestures either. Sometimes it's in the smaller, everyday things. You might be struggling with your coffee order, and he steps in to carry the extra cup. You might say you don't know how to work a certain app, and he immediately offers to walk you through it. You mention you're tired, and suddenly he's offering to grab you lunch or run an errand. These are little favors, but the way he jumps at the opportunity shows he's looking for ways to insert himself into your life. Every favor is his quiet way of saying, I want to be useful to you, I want to matter to you. There's also pride attached to these actions. A man who is secretly attracted to you will take personal satisfaction in being the one who can help. It makes him feel stronger, more capable, more connected. If he carries your heavy bags, he's not just carrying weight. He's carrying a chance to show you that he's attentive, that he notices your needs before you even have to ask. That pride shows in how he looks at you afterward, waiting to see if you noticed, if you appreciated, if you saw that he showed up in a way others didn't. It's his silent bid for acknowledgement, because deep down he's trying to separate himself from every other man in your life. Another important layer to this is timing. If you're in need and he finds out about it, watch how quickly he offers help compared to everyone else. Attraction creates urgency. He doesn't want to wait, doesn't want someone else to step in first, doesn't want to miss the chance to be the person you turn to. So while others may hesitate or brush it off, he'll step forward almost immediately. That urgency isn't just kindness, it's desire in action. He wants to occupy a special role in your mind, and he knows showing up fast is one way to secure it. Even when he's tired, busy, or has his own problems, he'll still make room for you. That's one of the clearest giveaways. A man who has no attraction may sympathize, but won't rearrange his life. A man who is secretly drawn to you will somehow carve out the time. He'll stay late to help you finish something, drive across town just to make sure you're safe, or sacrifice his comfort for yours. Attraction makes him willing to inconvenience himself if it means your life becomes a little easier. That willingness is a strong sign that his feelings run deeper than surface level friendliness sometimes. His offers of help will even be disguised as casual suggestions. He'll say things like, "I can take care of that for you," or "If you need someone, just let me know." Almost as if he's downplaying how much he actually wants to do it. But beneath that casual tone is eagerness. He's planting seeds, making sure you know he's available, because even if you don't ask, he wants the option to step in. That availability is not random. It's strategic. He's positioning himself as reliable, hoping you'll see him as more than just another face in the crowd over time. These repeated favors start to build a pattern. You may not even notice it at first, but if you step back, you'll realize he's been consistently offering help, consistently showing up, consistently taking on tasks he doesn't do for anyone else. That consistency is the mark of genuine attraction, because one-time gestures can be coincidence, but sustained effort comes from motivation. And in this case, that motivation is his interest in you, his desire to create space in your life where he becomes irreplaceable. So when you notice that a man volunteers to help or do favors he doesn't normally do, understand that it's not just kindness or good manner. It's attraction dressed up as generosity. It's his way of stepping closer without saying the words out loud, his way of proving his value, his way of making sure you associate him with care, support, and reliability. It's his silent strategy to move from being just another man you know to being the man you remember every time you think about, who's always there for you. When a man is secretly attracted to you, his body will start speaking a language louder than his words. He may try to keep his feelings hidden. He may act like he's just being casual, but his body betrays him every time. The way he leans towards you when you speak, the way he mirrors your gestures, the way his feet and torso point in your direction even when he's not aware of it. These are signals you cannot ignore. Attraction has a way of pulling the body closer, as if there's a magnet drawing him in. And if you're observant, you'll notice that his physical presence reveals far more than he's willing to admit. Leaning in is one of the clearest signals of hidden attraction. When someone is just politely engaged, they'll keep a comfortable distance, maintaining space. But when a man feels drawn to you, that space shrinks. You'll see him angle his shoulders toward you, bend slightly forward when you talk, or close the gap between you without even realizing it. It's instinctive, because leaning in signals interest and focus. He wants to be closer, to hear you better, to make you feel like you have his undivided attention. Even in a noisy room, his body will orient toward you like you're the only person that matters, because in that moment you are mirroring is another powerful clue. People naturally mirror those they feel connected to, but when a man is secretly attracted to you, this behavior becomes more noticeable. If you take a sip of your drink, a few moments later, he does the same. If you cross your legs, he might shift his posture to match. If you smile or tilt your head, he subconsciously copies it. Mirroring is not about imitation, it's about alignment. It's his body's way of saying, I'm with you, I'm on the same wavelength. It creates a sense of comfort, a rhythm between the two of you that feels natural and unforced. And that rhythm is one of the strongest signs of unspoken attraction. And then there's the direction of his body, which reveals even more than his expressions or words. If you're standing in a group, watch how his torso is turned. If his feet are pointing at you, if his chest is angled in your direction, even when he's talking to someone else, that's not an accident. The body points where the attention goes. A man who is secretly drawn to you will orient himself toward you without realizing it, because attraction pulls his focus. It's subtle but powerful. His body will always give him away, even if he's trying to act neutral. You may also notice small physical gestures that reinforce this body language. He might lean an arm on the chair closer to you, creating a kind of protective boundary. He might angle his head to better hear you, lowering his voice so you feel like the conversation is just for the two of you. If you're walking side by side, he'll match his pace to yours, making sure you stay aligned. These are not random habits, they are unconscious adjustments driven by the desire to stay connected and close to you. His body is constantly recalibrating to maintain proximity. Because closeness is where attraction feels most alive, eye contact also ties into this body language. When he's leaning in and pointing toward you, his gaze will often linger, scanning your face as though he's trying to memorize every expression. If you're talking, he'll nod more often, not just to show he's listening, but because he's syncing his rhythm with yours. Even when he looks away, his body remains oriented toward you, showing that his attention hasn't shifted. That alignment is key. It reveals where his interest is anchored. No matter how much he tries to mask it with casual conversation, another strong indicator is how his body reacts when others are around. If someone else enters the conversation, he may still keep his torso angled toward you, signaling that you remain the center of his focus. In group settings, his lean may subtly shift closer to your side, or his feet may still point at you while everyone else is spread out in different directions. Attraction creates this invisible tether, and it shows in the smallest directional cues. He might not even realize how obvious it looks, but to anyone paying attention, his body is loudly declaring where his interest lies. What's even more telling is how consistent these signals are. A man who is only casually engaged might lean in once or twice, mirror you occasionally, or face you when convenient. But a man who is secretly attracted will do these things repeatedly, almost every time he interacts with you. The repetition shows it's not coincidence, it's instinct. His body isn't just responding randomly, it's responding to you specifically. And that consistency is what makes it one of the clearest markers of attraction. On top of that, there's a nervous energy that often comes with this body language. You might notice him adjusting his clothes, touching his hair, or fidgeting slightly when he's near you. These are signs of self-consciousness, his body's way of trying to prepare or present itself better because he's aware of your presence. He may stand a little taller, puff out his chest slightly, or square his shoulders as if to display confidence. Attraction brings out this natural desire to impress, and the body reacts by subtly shifting into a more attentive, engaged posture. Sometimes the simplest details are the most revealing. When you move, he moves. If you lean back, he may lean back too, keeping the balance. If you step closer, he doesn't step away. He stays or even closes in further. That willingness to share space, to physically align with you, is one of the strongest nonverbal signs that his feelings are deeper than just friendliness. His body becomes a compass, and the needle keeps pointing in your direction, so when you notice a man leaning in, mirroring your movements, and pointing his body toward you, understand what's really happening. His words may be calm, his actions may be subtle, but his body is telling the truth. Attraction lives in those small adjustments, in those unconscious alignments, in that constant pull toward you. His posture, his movements, his direction. They are all whispering the same message, and that message is that he is drawn to you in a way he can't completely hide when a man is secretly attracted to you. One of the most revealing signs is how well he remembers the little things you say. It could be something you mentioned casually, something you thought was unimportant, or something you didn't even expect him to catch. But weeks later, he brings it up, or he acts on it, and suddenly you realize he was paying attention all along. This isn't coincidence. Men don't store random information about people they're not interested in. If he remembers your favorite coffee order, the way you take your tea, the fact that you once mentioned a childhood pet, or how you get nervous before big presentations, it's because you matter to him more than you realize. Most men live by simplicity. We don't usually clutter our minds with details we don't need. But when attraction is at play, everything changes. The little facts about you, your likes, dislikes, quirks, habits, become valuable to him. He files them away without even trying because his mind is locked in on you, and the more he remembers, the more he proves where his attention is going. Attraction makes him curious, makes him study, makes him pay attention in ways he doesn't for others. That's why when you're talking to him, he seems unusually tuned in, as though nothing else in the world is more important than what you're saying in that moment. It's not just about memory. It's about intention. A man who remembers small details is showing you that he's not only listening, he's storing things for later. You may have mentioned once in passing that your favorite flowers are lilies, and then one day he surprises you with them. Or you may have told him you hate when people spell your name wrong, and the next time he writes it down, he checks to make sure it's perfect. These actions aren't random. They're proof that he's been holding on to what you told him, because your words matter enough to stay with him. Attraction drives him to notice, and remembering is his way of showing you he values what comes out of your mouth. There's also an emotional layer to this. When a man is drawn to you, the details he remembers aren't always about what you like or dislike, but about how you feel. He'll recall the story you told about that tough day at work, and he'll ask you about it later to see how it turned out. He'll remember that you don't like being interrupted when you're reading, so he respects your quiet time. He'll even recall the smallest offhand comments, like how you once said you always feel cold in offices, and the next time you're sitting together, he'll ask if you're comfortable. These small acts of recall are really acts of care, disguised as attentiveness. They're his way of saying, I'm not just hearing you, I'm feeling with you. Sometimes the way he uses these details will even surprise you. You'll find him finishing your sentences because he remembers a story you told. You'll see him bring up things you shared weeks ago, proving he wasn't just nodding along but genuinely absorbing your words. And while some people might dismiss this as good listening skills, the truth is that men don't remember everything. They remember the things and the people they value. If you're the one he remembers, if your words echo back to you through his actions, it's a sign that his attraction has rooted itself deep inside his attention. It's also telling how specific those details can be. Maybe you once said you can't stand olives on pizza, and months later, when he orders one for both of you, he makes sure there aren't any. Or maybe you mentioned your favorite song, and the next time you're riding together, he has it playing. These little gestures are not accidents. They are demonstrations of thoughtfulness that stem from attraction. He's trying to show you that he knows you, that he pays attention, that he's invested enough to make sure you feel seen and understood. And that's powerful, because feeling seen is one of the strongest foundations for connection. What makes this behavior so significant is how rare it is. In a world where people often listen, where conversations blur together, being remembered is rare. When a man recalls details you forgot you even mentioned, it sets him apart. It tells you that he's not treating you like everyone else. He's placing you in a category that matters, and he doesn't need to announce it with big speeches. His memory does the talking. Every time he remembers something you thought was small, it's a silent message that says, "You're important enough for me to keep in mind." And here's the deeper truth: attraction sharpens focus. When he likes you, his brain is more engaged in everything about you. The sound of your laugh, the way you phrase your thoughts, even the expressions you make, all of it sticks. That's why weeks later, he can recall things you don't even remember saying. It's not just memory, it's selective attention driven by desire. He's unconsciously choosing to hold onto pieces of you because he wants to feel closer, to understand you better, to be aligned with you in ways you may not notice yet over time. This remembering becomes a pattern. The man who remembers the small details will consistently surprise you with his recall. He'll prove it in conversations, in gestures, in choices that reflect the fact that he's been paying attention. And each time it will feel more intentional, more obvious that his focus on you is different than his focus on anyone else. It's not because he has the best memory in the world. It's because his heart is tied to his attention, and his attention is tied to you.